spent a year on the train rewriting the book. I rewrote probably 60% of it. Turned it in again, and within 2 months of sending it to the agent, it was sold in the US and the UK and France. I work all day, so I'll go over to my office during the day, but during the day it's talking to editors, talking to translators, doing interviews, negotiating contracts, things like that. And then, so usually from about 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. is when I do most of my writing. And then I sleep for 5 hours and start all over again.
Yeah.
From a lot of different places. I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons when I was young, and I was always the dungeon master, the leader of the game, and so I think I learned a lot there about making up worlds, making up characters, making up stories, and so that I think gave me a very strong foundation for writing. The Painted Man itself, the overall idea was to write a book about fear, and a lot of that came from being in New York on September 11th, and some of the things that I went through and my family and my friends went through. I wanted to write about how fear affects people, so there was that. And then also I had been inspired by Otzi the Iceman, who was a man that was found frozen in the ice, and he had tattoos all over his body, and they had believed that he was a shaman, and the tattoos had magical powers, and I thought that was very inspiring. And the overall story is about his two friends, Arlen and Jardir, who have a disagreement that they both kind of think that they're in the right, and it ends up starting a war between their two peoples. So the first book, The Painted Man, is about Arlen, who's a boy who grows up in a world where demons come out every night, and people hide behind magical symbols at night to protect themselves. It's a magic that was lost for a very long time that allows people to fight back against the demons. And because of that, people start to believe that he may be meant to be the savior of mankind. And Jardir has very strong doubts about whether or not Arlen is the right person to do that, and they have a falling out, and it leads to a serious conflict. Now, the Desert Spear starts again with Jardir as a child and tells his story, and makes it clear that in his own way he's every bit as much of a hero as Arlen is, and both of them have the same goal, which is to save humanity from demons, but they both have very different ways of going about that. And that's the story as a whole. Like the Demon Cycle will tell the story of these two characters and how they will have to find a way to work together. Was when the first book sold, the publisher bought 3 books total. So everyone assumed that that meant it was a trilogy, but my original book proposal was always for 5 books, and I'm working very hard to keep it at that. I don't want it to grow out of control, but it's also not going to end at the 3rd book. It's probably going to be the very beginning of 2012. I still have a lot of writing left to do. I have it plotted out in great detail. I know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm very meticulous about my prose. But there are things about how you will continue to have problems if you run away from the things that you're afraid of. And it's when you stop and face your fears that new paths open to you that weren't there before, and that you discover more about yourself and about what you're capable of. And also, in the second book, the theme is more kind of to not assume things about people that you don't know very well. It's an honor to be compared with that. I mean, I think that in general, everyone compares fantasy books to The Lord of the Rings because The Lord of the Rings, in many ways, was the beginning of modern fantasy, and it's the bar by which everything is. It's the yardstick by which things are measured. So to be compared to that is an enormous honor.